Tomorrow, the House of Representatives will deliver a single article of impeachment to the Senate. It accuses former President Trump of inciting insurrection.
Congress faces that upcoming trial as it works with a new president, new goals, and new plans to overcome the fallout of the COVID pandemic. One of the former President Trump's staunchest supporters in Congress is with us this morning, Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart, Republican representing the 25th Congressional District, Southwest-Dade to Southwest Florida. Good morning, Congressman. Great to see you.
Congressman, welcome. Great to have you back. Congressman, we will get to impeachment in just a minute. First, I want to ask you to explain why you supported the petition for a commutation, a pardon of Dr. Solomon Mulligan, the ophthalmologist from West Palm Beach, who was convicted of defrauding the government of $73 million in Medicare money and private insurance money, was sentenced to 17 years in prison. But you went to bat for him, and your voice was important in the fact that he was pardoned. Why did you do that?
In the spirit of the criminal justice reform bill. The question, and it was for humanitarian reasons. So is he a threat to society? No. Is he a danger to anybody? No. He's got, his health is failing. His wife's health is failing. And for humanitarian reasons, and in the spirit of the criminal justice reform bill, which I know, Michael, you've spoken quite a bit about, and I think supported the whole concept of people who are not dangerous to society should probably not be in prison where the taxpayer has to pay for their imprisonment, when in fact, in many cases and in some cases, and this is one of those, for humanitarian reasons, it's better for him to be home, again, because he's not a threat to anybody, and contrary, now he can help his wife, he can help his health care, and we spend less money. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, well, we understand the humanitarian impulse, and I believe, in fact, in the bill that you're mentioning, and in forgiveness, redemption, and so on. But this guy stole a huge amount of money, one of the largest Medicaid frauds in the history of the United States. And he got a 17-year sentence, had served basically 2.5 years, but you think it's time to let him out?
Again, I think here's a question. Your statement, which is a valid statement, could be said for every single person that has been released based on the criminal justice reform bill. There are folks there who have been selling drugs to minors, who are in federal prison. You're not in federal prison for minor things, and yet they've been released because, again, there were either there were no danger to society anymore. In this case, again, Michael, if you can tell me that this individual is going to be a threat to society, is a danger to society, and then I will reverse my position. But I know you can't do that because that's not the case. It's in the spirit of the criminal justice reform bill. It is clearly, I think, a positive humanitarian action, and I thank the president for doing it.
So let's stay with the crime and punishment theme and talk about impeachment. The vote for impeachment for former President Donald Trump was a bipartisan vote nationwide, a bipartisan vote, but Congressman in South Florida, it was not bipartisan at all. The vote for South Florida's members of Congress was strictly along party lines. Talk, if you will, a little bit about your perspective, why you voted against impeaching the former president a second time.
It's interesting that the facts that keep coming out, as have been reported by every news organization, are actually proving that I was correct. The entire impeachment is a very sad lie and farce. It was based on one phrase, in essence, that he said, we need to fight like hell. And they basically claimed that because of that, he was the reason, that statement was the reason why these thugs went and raided Congress. What we now know to be true, which, by the way, I think most of us suspected at the time, was that these were premeditated acts of violence by very dangerous criminal groups and criminal thugs. They had thought about this, planned it before any speech by the president or anybody else. And again, I think you would agree, if you've read any of the reports, that that is the case. So again, it is a farce. And not only is it a farce and a lie, it's a very divisive lie and farce. I believe we should try to kind of unite this country, unify this country. Is that something that's going to help unify, or is that going to divide the country? So again, based on a farce, based on a lie, now a proven, because I think both of you would have to agree what I just said, that all the reports, every single report from the FBI, from every agency, law enforcement agency, is proving that these were premeditated acts by groups of criminals and thugs who have to suffer the consequences of the law. That's what we should be focused on. Not a very, again, a very sad, divisive lie for political reasons, I guess, from Nancy Pelosi. She also said, by the way, if you remember that debate, that it had to be done right away because the president could not be there one day. The president was there to the 20th, which just proves to you that it was a lie, it was a farce, it's divisive. And again, so every day I feel better about that vote.
Okay, two things, and I just, for the record, I don't mean to interrupt. It's really difficult on Skype to have an interactive conversation. But a couple of things that you brought up, unity and responsibility. There are pretty powerful Republicans who, Kevin McCarthy, Mitch McConnell, who have publicly said they believe that former President Trump does have responsibility for the insurrection in some part. But to your point, does it rise to a criminal impeachment? And what does that do to unity? So here's the question. If someone, and to Michael's question before about the pardons and commutations, what message does it send, aside from the unity issue, what message does it send if there is a crime or wrongdoing that goes unpunished? What message does that send to the country?
Oh no, that would be totally unacceptable. So I'm hoping, and I think it's going to happen, that these individuals responsible for this heinous act of violence against democracy, against more than just a building, that Capitol building is the symbol of democracy, that they suffer the consequences of their actions. But again, if you read the actual impeachment, the article of impeachment, it talks about this one phrase. And that's the reason, it says, in essence, says that that's the reason why these thugs did what they did. And that has proven, Glenna, proven to be false, number one. Number two is, now, do I think the president's speech was a perfect speech? Absolutely not. But should we, for example, ask and demand that Senator Bernie Sanders, get thrown out of the Senate because a crazy individual believing that he had heard Bernie Sanders, tell him that he should go kill Republicans at a baseball field, went ahead and did that? No, it's that crazy individual, not Bernie Sanders, who's responsible. I would argue that Bernie Sanders or the president of all of us should probably moderate how we speak. But there are only the ones responsible for this have to be held accountable. And again, I go back to it. Have you not seen the reports that prove that all of this was premeditated by groups out there that were going to do this regardless of anything? It had nothing to do with the speech. And if you read the article of impeachment, that's what it talks about. So again, I base myself on the facts, Glenna. That's what I try to do. I know you do as well. So I think you would agree that these were premeditated acts by criminals, and it has nothing to do with what any individual said.
Well, Congressman, I would certainly agree from the reporting I have done, things that I have read, groups like the Oath Takers and the Proud Boys and maybe others had planned, premeditated, an attack, and they used the speech on the ellipse as sort of the excuse to go ahead and do what they did. I think that there's going to be conspiracy charges that will come out of that. So your point is well taken. But let's go back to the speech. The president said more than be strong, give them hell, go up there and, get members of Congress. I mean, he mentioned Lynn Cheney, Congresswoman Cheney by name. I mean, wasn't that just sort of over the top? Do you find his speech really acceptable?
No, I don't think it was a great speech by any stretch of the imagination. But again, what we're talking about here is, because I do believe in the freedom of speech. I've fought, I guess using the word fought now is probably not okay, because I'll probably be accused now of saying that I'm inciting violence. I have fought for the freedom of speech my entire public, and you know that, Michael. So was that a good speech? No. Were there speeches that I've heard either in that moment or in other moments that were as bad or worse? Absolutely. Yeah. Were they a reason to go after individuals? No, I think you fight bad speech with
Congressman.
Speech.
I mean,
that's
look,
what our founders had in mind.
I don't want to sort of get in a back and forth here. I would simply say whatever other instances you're talking about bad speeches that resulted in things. The fact of the matter is, at noon on January 6th, the President of the United States stood on the ellipse, talked to many thousands of people, and by 2 o'clock, they were invading the Capitol. That's cause and effect.
Michael, again, you're not, that's basically like saying that cheese is round, the moon is round, so therefore the moon is made out of cheese. That logic. Again, you may have missed all of the reporting that showed that these were criminal groups that were going to do this if the president was not even there.
Well, I just
they were going to
admitted
do
that they
so again,
were.
those are the facts. Now you can try to, spin it how you want, but the facts speak for themselves. And I would urge you to look at the reports, even from your own network, that have stated that very plainly.
Congressman, can we, before we let you go, immigration is such a huge issue here, and one of the first things that the new president did in a series of executive orders is halt deportations for 100 days, made a plan for amnesty for undocumenteds over the next couple of years. This is something you have been such a strong voice in Congress on this issue, really looking to bridge the partisan divide. I want you and I want your constituents to be able to hear what you think of this series of executive orders about fears from a lot of people who have in the past called this kind of thing amnesty. Where do you see this beginning and going and ending?
I'm hoping we can work in a bipartisan way to finally fix the broken immigration system. I'm more than anxious to work with the administration in getting that done. Some of the executive orders, by the way, have been, I think, rather damaging to please the elites while hurting working class Americans. But as far as immigration is concerned, I look forward to working with this administration. I'm hoping that he's willing to negotiate, because if he's willing to negotiate, he will find in me somebody who's willing to roll up his sleeves to get the job done. And that's what we need to do. We need to get the job done for the American people on issues that are important to the American people. And I hope we can do that in the next few years.
Yeah. Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart, always a pleasure to have you on our program. Come back anytime.
My pleasure. Thanks. And
Thanks.
Please stay healthy.
And
You
you
too.
as well.
Thanks so much.
Of course, you've already had COVID. Don't get it again.
That's right. That's right. Hopefully not. Right, Michael?
No, I hope not.